Right?
Yeah, you know what it is.
That's your little cheat sheet.
Yep.
There you go.
All right. Well, today, as you guys can see, we got a special guest here, Brent Kemnitz, former Wichita State pitching coach. Give your spiel. Where'd you come from?
Perry, Oklahoma. Born in 1956. Hate to give up my age right here, but went to Perry High School. I always say Perry, Oklahoma is the wrestling capital of the world, but I was a basketball player. We won state every year in wrestling. Grew up a huge wrestling fan, but my niche was basketball and baseball. Played them all when I was little, but great memories growing up in the 60s. I always say that was the best time ever. I was 4 to 14 years old. Just, parents were paying the bills. They were taking you places, and great memories. So graduated from Perry High School in 1974 and went to Phillips University to play baseball. I had some options. Talked to Oklahoma State. Had some JUCOs. Actually had one JUCO basketball offer. I'm pretty proud of that. Oh yeah.
All right.
Pretty proud of that. But went to Phillips University. Like I said, graduated in 74.
Where's Phillips at?
It's in Enid, Oklahoma.
Okay.
It was a great small college baseball program. We went to the NAIA World Series my freshman year. So spent 4 years there, graduated, and just a great run, enjoyed it, and then came to Wichita.
Cool. Now, what was it that got you to Wichita State? What was the it factor that this is the school I want to go coach at? This is going to make sense to me. Run me through your thoughts on that.
Okay, I'm like every kid. It's funny that this morning I was talking to my mom and my brother. There was a picture on Twitter of the old municipal stadium in Kansas City. Well, that was my first big league game in the 60s. And then I went to Busch Stadium when it first opened in the late 60s. So, Major League Baseball was my dream, and I excelled. I was a good, small college left-handed pitcher. So my dream was like everybody, I want to play in the big leagues. And when that reality doesn't happen, you start looking for other options.
Yeah.
So when I'm a senior at Phillips University, and I had a nice career, we had really good teams, but it became obvious to me the whole Major League Pro thing wasn't going to happen. So I was looking for ways to stay in sports, to stay in coaching. I always thought it'd be basketball because, I was a pretty good high school basketball player. And I thought that might be my niche. But, baseball was always my first love, so I thought, okay, baseball's an option too. But from a baseball standpoint, it was always playing, not necessarily coaching. Well, then, as a senior at Phillips University, I was looking for places to go to grad school to get my master's degree. And I wrote 4 schools. I wrote Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Arkansas, and Wichita State had just started a program. And I remember my college baseball coach, Joe Record, saying, Brent, I understand you want to go to grad school. That's good. That's smart. You'll never regret it. And I said, yeah, and I'd like to be like a graduate assistant at some baseball program. Can you help me? And I mentioned Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, and Arkansas, all great baseball programs, when I was growing up. He said, well, that's fine. That's good. He said, but I would add one to your list. He said, if you're wanting to get into coaching, Wichita State must be taking it serious, because they hired Gene Stevenson. And he was the longtime assistant at Oklahoma when I was in high school. Went to the College World Series 5 years. Grew up in Guthrie. Was all-state football, baseball. And he said, so if they hired Gene Stevenson, they must be taking it serious. And I knew who Gene Stevenson was because I wanted to go to Oklahoma. And to speed up the story, and then I'll go back to getting on point here.
No, you've been on point this whole time. This is people want to know what spurred this.
Well, when I got up here, I tell Gene, I go, Gene, my dream was Oklahoma. You're the recruiting coordinator. Why didn't you recruit me? He said you weren't good enough. Which is Gene being Gene,
Yeah.
and unfortunately he was
funny.
right. But anyway, so I knew who he was because they were going to Omaha every year, and he was a crucial
What year
part.
was this? By this point,
Well,
is this 80s.
I'm 78 is when I graduated from Phillips and looking for places to go. He took the job in March of 77. So I wrote him a letter. Well, I heard back from the other schools, but it was kind of surface. It wasn't real deep. Well, Gene writes back this long personal letter. Attention to detail is what he would call it, as I got to know him. But it was like, oh my God, Wichita State. I could go up there and actually be involved and not just be, chasing foul balls and picking up the fungos and stuff like that.
What changed it for him? From that place where it's not good enough to now, hey, here's a personal letter.
Well, I think that's just how he looked at people that wrote him. I mean, he was going to take care of each guy and give them, a chance and be personal with his letters. So when I got that letter, there were a couple things that made sense to me. Wichita State had a master's degree in sports administration. So I was like, okay, that's perfect. And now all of a sudden I've got a chance to go to Wichita State as a graduate assistant. So this is December of 1977. At the time I was kind of leaning towards just going to Oklahoma because that was my dream school growing up. Well, then when I come up here, I wrote him a letter, and then I followed it up with a phone call, and I said, listen, I'm going to be in Wichita December, whatever it was, 15th of 1977. Well, I wasn't really going to be up here. I had a friend that I could come visit. Well, I was not going to not get in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
If I would have said, hey, is there a time we can get together, it may have lingered out too long.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm going to be in Wichita this day. Can I come by and talk to you? So to his credit, on a Saturday, he meets me up at what was then Henry Levitt Arena, gave me a grand tour, and I told him, I said, listen, I'm coming to Wichita State. Now at the time, I didn't know I was 100% coming to Wichita State. I'd like to help with the baseball program. Is there any way I can get involved? Well, I had picked my college coach's brain about graduate assistantships. He said, you can get them, but that's money that comes out of the budget, so it depends on what they want to spend. But they're available, and at that time there were no restrictions. You could take as many people as you wanted. Well, who's going to turn down a guy that's willing to work free? I said, look, I'm coming there to get my master's degree. I'm going to be here, and I want to help. Well, here was my break that took it from, okay, you can help us for nothing, to actually being the pitching coach my very first year. My pitching coach at Phillips University was a guy named Bill Brown. And Bill Brown was legendary in the state of Oklahoma at the American Legion level. He had coached against Gene. He was the Enid American Legion coach. Gene was an all-star at Guthrie. So Gene had played for Bill Brown on an all-star Legion team, like probably 64, 65. So they had a mutual respect. Well, Bill Brown called Gene because he was my pitching coach at Phillips. And I'll never forget, Bill Brown's just a very calm, great demeanor, probably the opposite of me. And just, he told Gene that this guy's special. This guy's got a chance to be really good, and he just needs a little guidance, a little leadership, but he's going to be special. Well, that was the break with Gene, because my Legion coach that I had at Stillwater was also my pitching coach, was a guy named Tom Borland, who was a former big leaguer, All-American at Oklahoma State. So I learned a lot from him. So I was name dropping a little bit with Gene.
You got to use all the names you
got to name them all.
You have to.
And it all came together because my college coach was a guy named Joe Record, who was also a big name, NAIA Hall of Fame guy. But Bill Brown was a big break. And I remember it was April of 2018, my senior year. We're playing Wichita State. It's the first year of the program. The only year I wasn't involved in the program. And I'm pitching against him. Well, that day I meet Gene up at Henry Levitt, and he starts picking my brain about my philosophies on pitching.
Wow.
And I had one because of Bill Brown and like I say, Tom Borland, the left-hander that was my American Legion pitching coach. I said, well, I'm a guy that believes that you've got to be under control, you got to get to a balanced position, you got to throw downhill, everybody gets there different, you got to figure out what makes each guy click. And I gained confidence with that through the years, but I had a philosophy. And I could kind of break down the delivery, enough. And I said, but the mind's going to be the difference maker. You work off your fastball. And I started saying this stuff, and I believed it. I think for a 21-year-old kid, I came across pretty confident, pretty knowledgeable, and it was totally because of the guys that coached me. So anyway, we go ahead and play. They beat us. They loved to say that. I threw a complete game, got beat. I had to wear that when I actually got up here. That, they beat me at McAdams Park. That was before what was in Shocker Field was ready.
So Phillips and Wichita State played at Adams Park, is that correct?
McAdams Park.
Wow.
Yes, we split. I lost, but I did throw a complete game, 2 earned runs. I mean, I threw a decent game.
Well, you don't got to be a great pitcher. You got to be a great pitching coach.
There you go.
That's the point.
There you go. So anyway, I thought the interview went well, and it was ironic that I went ahead and pitched against him that afternoon. And then we stayed in touch. He gave me a chance to come up here. It was more work study money than anything. And the second year actually gave me graduate assistant money and work study money. I worked camps. I sold season football tickets for a commission in the summer of 1980. Summer of 79, I worked construction. 78, the summer leading into coming to Wichita State, I worked in the oil field. I say those are priceless things that make you grow, make you get better. But yeah, that was the big break. I came up here and I joke, I lived in the dorm, 21 years old. I'm the pitching coach. And I always said there were guys on my pitching staff that were older than me. But Gene gave me the title of pitching coach, and they got me off and running.
That's awesome. That's
Yes.
awesome. And that was early 80s. So 78 was when this happened. Is that
Yes,
And then 80s you start and gain your feet, gain your ground.
Yes, my first spring was 79. Second was 80. I didn't become full-time until the summer of 81.
Yeah.
My contract's actually here in my office. I have the first contract.
Wow. Is that it right there?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
First contract is here in the office. Ted Brady Hoff, $1,000 a month.
This room's slick, by the way.
We got it all.
I'll mention some of the stuff.
We
about this
got it
room.
all.
It's
So
great.
my first contract, I have posted here $1,000 a month, and I remember thinking, what am I going to do with all that money? $1,000 a month. Whoa. Summer of 81. Well, anyway, a lot of people say, well, what, okay, you're 21, what's your philosophy? And I explained to you that I had one, but it was more my first year of giving the guys on the pitching staff confidence, because you're 21 and a lot of those guys are your age.
Yeah, they're not wanting to listen to you.
Yes, it's like, what's this guy from Phillips University
Yeah.
know? Well, everybody wants to hear you when you got something good to say about them.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Oh, yeah.
You give somebody a compliment, it's like, really, man, you lost weight, you're looking good, dude.
I actually gained weight. Thanks,
Yeah,
Brent.
well, yeah. But anyway, it gets you more excited, you're listening.
Yeah.
So I took that philosophy early on. When somebody takes interest in you, you like them. Well, that was number one. I tried to pump those guys up. And the second thing was, I knew that they were going to test me. Because I lived in the dorm with them. We're going to the College Inn having beers together. So I did that only 1 year, my first year. It's like, okay, you're our coach, but now we're going to the College Inn. They got the Monday night, the sororities drink free. So where were we going to be on Mondays?
Yeah.
And then we'd go to practice the next day, and I'd just crush them. So the big deal was on Friday nights we'd go there, and then Saturday we'd practice early, and I would just crush them. They're like, dude, this ain't fair. This ain't right. But I knew that I had to, if I was going to get their respect, that I was going to have to
Work arm in arm with them.
work
Yeah.
hard with them.
Yeah.
Well, that was the only year I did.
did that.
The second year, I said, look, guys,
Yeah.
I can't hang with you guys anymore. Love you. When you graduate, we're running mates. But when you're playing, no. So that only happened in 78. But priceless memories. I mean, I could talk about those days forever. And it was obviously the start of something really special.
Definitely. What year and do you feel like, if there was a specific year that you're like, aha, we have a chance at a national title? What was there a year in particular? Was there a player? Is there something in the 80s that you're like, we really have a shot at the College World Series to win?
Well, the thing that I talk about a lot when I talk about Gene Stevenson, when I came here, and it was the second year of the program, the timing was perfect for me because the guy that had been the pitching coach the year before was a pro guy. So he was only here part of the year, Mickey Lashley, and then he went to pro ball. So they had a pitching coach opportunity because the full-time assistant was a guy named Terry Jolly, and he was a hitting guy. So I always joked, and I said, well, when Gene gave me the pitchers, he didn't know if I was any good. He just didn't want to deal with pitchers. But I took the opportunity, and I knew I had an opportunity people would kill for, and it did turn out that way. But the thing about Gene is it was never, are we going to get this done? It's, we're going to get this done, and we're going to compete at the highest level. He never left a doubt, like, okay, if we do this, it's, we're going to do this. Do you want to be a part of it?
Yeah.
So I bid in, I bought all in, loved it. I was young, stupid, But
I clearly had it. He knew where it was headed. He knew what it took.
He knew what it took. And the thing I think he liked about me, and he needed to mold me a lot, was I had passion. And I think he said many times, I'd rather have somebody that I got to hold back than somebody who got a kick in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was a guy you had to hold back because I was eager. I was relentless. It was my new passion. I became a better pitching coach than I ever was as a pitcher. But to get to your question, there was never that doubt that we're going to compete on the highest level. I think in 1980 we won, or 79 we won like 65 games, but didn't get in the NCAA tournament. Played a lot of small schools. Well, 1980 we made our first NCAA tournament. 1981, we had Joe Carter, who was the second pick in the draft. We were very talented. Went to Clemson, won a game, but didn't.
Like, the question was a setup for there. I was hoping we'd get to Joe Carter at some point, because I'm sure he's one of those players.
Well, he was special, and
you see that.
He was a guy that was a freshman, actually playing football during my first year here. So he wasn't with us in the fall. But 81 we go to Clemson and win a game, but don't go to Omaha. Mississippi State won that regional. Well, the year that I thought, okay, this is something special. 1982. After 81, we got wiped out. Joe Carter signed. We had a bunch of those original recruiting guys: Bob Bomarito, Bruce Morrison, Terry Hayes. A lot of those guys that were recruited in that first class were seniors, so they graduated. So it's kind of a big crossroads. And I remember the media. Now there wasn't media like there is today, but the people were like, all right, huge crossroads. And Terry Jolly, the full-time assistant, had decided he was going to go into personal business. He's now in construction, but went into insurance at the time. Well, Gene gave me the opportunity in the summer of 1981 to become full-time, and we had a lot of uncertainties. But what we did have, and I remember thinking this in my head, we got some guys that are special on the mound. Don Heichel's a senior.
What year is this again, you said?
It would have been the fall of 81, spring of 82. Don Heichel, who ended up being the winningest pitcher in the history of NCAA baseball, won 51 games, was a senior. And I always give him credit for the guy that probably gave me the most confidence as a coach. Because he was just a 4.0 student, pre-med, he's a doctor now, pitching the big leagues, very respectful. I just love him. He's a guy that I point to, number one, for giving me confidence as a coach. But he was a senior. Brian Elkers made an off-the-chart turnaround his sophomore year. He was a left-handed pitcher out of St. Louis. Probably had an ERA close to 7 as a sophomore. Well, we fixed him, got some things corrected with him. He ended up being 18-2 college pitcher of the year in 82 as a junior.
Wow.
Was the fourth pick. The Twins took him. Pick ahead of Dwight Gooden. And then another third guy, a guy named Eric Sonnenberg, who was outstanding as a freshman. He's a sophomore. We had some other guys that filled in. Stan Brown, Greg Lefevre was an incoming freshman. We had some guys that could pitch. Well, we lead the nation in ERA that year, 2.53 ERA. And then lineup-wise, Jimmy Thomas returned for his senior year. He led off and was just the straw that stirred the drink, just relentless. Lauren Hibbs was a transfer from University of Kansas. He hit 2 holes, still leads the nation in runs scored, still has the record. 3-hole Phil Stevenson, who I returned for his senior year.
Oh, wow.
And I still call him the best college hitter I've ever seen. 4-hole, you got Russ Moorman, who was a one-year JC guy. Gene went up and found him up in Kansas City through a scouting connection. 5-hole was Charlie O'Brien. He returned for his senior year, which was crucial. And Charlie played like 15 years in the big leagues. I still call him the best catcher ever. Caught like 14 or 15 Cy Young Award winners. And then this is the only lineup, by the way, that I can tell you every guy in the lineup.
I know, well, because it's special. It's amazing.
Yes.
The talent that's on that team
and
is
Jimmy
unbelievable.
Spring hit 6th against right-handers. Kevin Pinner 7th. And then against left-handers, they flip-flopped it. 8-hole was Dave Lucas. And I'm telling you right now, that might have been the biggest key to this. Gaskell hit 8. A kid, just a steady guy, great guy, team guy. And then Dave Lucas. Now, he might be the biggest key to us getting to where we needed to get. He played in shortstop in Alaska for Fairbanks, and he was playing with Phil Stevenson and Don Heichel and Jimmy Thomas. And they kept calling Gene saying, hey, we got a shortstop. Because JT really wanted to play second. He would have been our shortstop. He really wanted to play second, but they kept saying, hey, we got a JUCO guy. This guy can really play. He can pick it. He can do this. He can do that. And he was probably the biggest key. He was like 5'4", 5'5". Gene would say, well, how big is he? 5'6", maybe. Can he run? No. How's his arm? Good enough. Can he hit? Kind of. You know, it was all this.
But his defense is impeccable.
Impeccable, and we saw him play in the NBC tournament. Added Dave Lucas, and he was probably the glue that made that team special. So we make it all the way to the finals of the College World Series, get second to Miami, and like I say, we led the nation in the ERA. And I was becoming friends with a lot of the national people. It's getting to know scouts, and that's when it really. I was starting to get love on a national level because our pitching was amazing, and we were starting to get some bigger name recruits. Although our bread and butter forever was small town America, guys that fit in. We weren't worried about recruiting services. In those days, there wasn't a lot of that going on anyway. You totally were dependent on pro scouts and guys you saw.
Yeah.
So that 82 started it, led the nation in ERA. And I'm 25, so I'm the youngest pitching coach at a Division I level in the nation. We're having success. That was the big key for me.
That's awesome.
Yes.
You guys led the nation in ERA already at that point.
2.53 and 82.
That's
yes.
huge. That right there shows the progression from a school that you're playing on a soccer field. Wasn't that where it started for Gene? I mean, it started.
Well, I think it wasn't a soccer field because our field was Shocker Field. It was the old driving range.
Yeah.
And that first year we just had the turf, and there was just jumps every year.
Yeah, it shows the progression is just amazing.
Yes.
So 89 would be no accident for what's been happening as you guys have been moving along.
Well, yeah, 82 was the first national scene, and then we were relevant through the years. 88 was probably another huge jump. We go down to Stillwater. Oklahoma State had been the College World Series, I think it was 7 times in a row.
And this is 88?
88.
Okay.
And we hadn't been back to Omaha since 82. We were getting to regionals, and we were still, we were getting respect, but not really on the national level yet. 88, we have a really good team. But Oklahoma State they were the dominant team in the Midwest, and we had created a great rivalry with them. It was very intense. It was great for the fans. Gary Ward, who we love and respect. You wouldn't know that if you saw us on game day back in those days. But great baseball man. Wanted to play. It was great for the fans. They always stuck us going to their regionals. But in 88, we go down there and end their string. They'd gone to Omaha 7 years. We go down there and beat them. A lot of people say, okay, what's the biggest win in Shocker baseball history? And everybody knows, 89 championship.
Yeah.
They go, okay, well, what's 2? Well, that's a no-brainer for me, too. Beating Oklahoma State in 88 in their park. They've been to Omaha 7 years in a row, and they're ranked number 1. Like almost wall-to-wall that year. So we go down there and beat them, go to Omaha in 88, and we're a pitch away from going to the finals in 88. Arizona State broke our heart.
Yeah. So
we get 3rd, but everybody will tell you that's probably the best setup for us winning it in 89.
Was that year. Still, 88 was a great team for a lot of, just high caliber players. Mark Staniford, I think, was playing in that year. He became my coach, and kind of the foundation of who I was as a player. I could contribute to Mark Staniford, and I mean, he was hitting them out of the park.
Well, he still leads he has the Shocker record, I think 28 home runs in 1 year. I took him to Alaska during the 84, 85, 86, and 87. I coached in Alaska, and I took Staniford. We won an NBC tournament championship in 86. He led the Alaska League in 86, 87. Still holds the Wichita State record with like 28. But in 88, we had 4 seniors: Danny Rayleigh, Mark Staniford, and then 2 pitchers, David Haas and Shane Durham, all key guys. And I remember this like it's yesterday. Okay, we go to Omaha, so we're back on a national map. Everybody's pumped, and they said, well, how are you going to be in 89? and I said, I think really good. We only lost 4 players, but they were all legit.
Yeah.
I remember that like it's yesterday.
Yeah.
That's probably my most vivid how you going to be next year story, and I said it a million times. I think we're going to be special, but we did lose 4 key guys. So,
Which 4 were they again?
Mark Stanford,
You didn't, okay.
Danny Rayleigh, third baseman, outstanding player, and then Shane Durham and David Haas, 2 pitchers.
And you guys still won it, 89.
89.
What was the feeling? Going in the final game. What's on Brent Kemnitz's mind on that final game? Can you remember that game vividly? Is it just a thing of the past?
Well, yeah, that's forever etched in your brain. And when the '89 team gets together, and we've had a lot of reunions. It was 5 years, and then 10, and 15. We recently had 30. So. Yeah, it guys starting to get older, and it's like, okay,
what's the memory on that?
Let's do the math here. You're like 51, 52, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
Well, we get back to Omaha. Well, let me back up. We play in the finals of the Missouri Valley Tournament in '89. It's in Wichita against Indiana State. We got blistered. I remember we got crushed by our fans who were like booing us. Fact. We're getting drilled by them, okay? Because they were like, we ain't going to Omaha this year.
This is not looking good.
88 was awesome, but not this year.
And this is the NBC tournament?
In the finals against Indiana State. So they blister us. So what it probably cost us was a chance to maybe host a regional, because all of a sudden we're thinking, hey, we need to start hosting regionals. We're tired of going to Stillwater. So they sent us off. We go to Fresno State. And in those days it was 6-team regionals. Well, I think Notre Dame was there. Pat Murphy was the young coach, and he was getting them right. Michigan was there. They were the Big Ten power in those days. And Pepperdine, I think, was there. Maybe Portland. But it was a good regional. And I remember Fresno was going to be the team to beat. They had 3 first-rounders in their lineup. Okay? So we're thinking, okay, this is going to be tough, but we had mentally tough guys. 89, Wedge is a junior, Mike McDonald, tough senior, Pat Cedeno, tough senior, Brummett senior, but we had some guys, Mike Lansing, who was a junior, we go in there, gets hurts his back, so he's not playing. Jeff Bonaquista's not playing, he's hurt. Mears, was a sophomore, we moved him to shortstop. Mike Jones was kind of a utility guy, he played third. P.J. Forbes just rock solid. He's our second baseman. Mike McDonald, I mentioned, he's a guy that played left, played first. Jim Audley, center field. Todd Dreifert, right field. So we had a good lineup. But then our pitching staff, you had Brummett, who was our number 1. Pat Cedeno, 2. 3 kind of fluctuated. We had some young phenoms like Tyler Green, who ended up being a first-round draft. Actually pitched in the All-Star game in '95. Darren Paxton, very talented left-hander. Charlie Gendron was a freshman, and then in the bullpen, Jeff Blume, and the guy that I mentioned him last, but one of the biggest keys to us winning that thing is Jim Newland had gone through the roof. In '89, he was 5-0, 18 saves, and a 1.08 ERA. When we gave the ball to him, it was over, and teams knew it. It was the most amazing thing. In fact, the beat writer for the Fresno paper described him as that. It's like that air of Jim Newland hanging out in the bullpen. You better score on him early, because when they go to him, it's over. So, awesome. Special group. We had to come through the losers bracket, beat Michigan twice the last day, because we go in the losers bracket, and your reward when we lost to Michigan in the 3rd game was to come back and play Fresno. In Fresno with their 3 first-rounders in the lineup. We throw Tyler Green, freshman, who, like I say, 2 years later is the first-round draft, and I think we beat him 6-4, and then had to come back and beat Michigan twice the next day, but we did.
Wow.
So great memories.
Wow. What'd you do that night?
I'm sure I had 100 cocktails, just knowing me. But yeah, we had our core group. Mike Kennedy was always the best ever.
He's a great broadcaster.
Yes. He's awesome. Hibbs was an assistant, just a quality guy, great coach. So I'm sure we went out, just guessing. But then we get to Omaha, had to come, won a game and then lost to Florida State, so I had to come through the losers bracket there too. Beat Texas in the finals. But when we won it, it was an 11 o'clock start in Omaha. So we had to get up pretty early. We'd beaten Florida State and to come through the loser bracket, but we had to get up early and play Texas. Now, fortunately, we had Brent on 3 days rest, and he was just a bulldog. But we win 5-3, and it's funny because I listened to the replay of that broadcast for the first time this summer because Mike Kennedy had gotten all the old tapes, and they played them. Well, I'm in my garage listening to every game, like nervous, like okay,
like you're back in it.
Yes,
because you're living it again, man.
Yes,
these
and I had never listened to those
these memories
tapes.
are etched into time.
No
they are
question.
Yeah.
So, I'm in my garage listening, and we win 5-3, and it's surreal. I mean, it's like a moment frozen in time. I remember going back to the hotel. This is before cell phones and Twitter and all that. So, people are wanting to get a hold of you, but they can't. If they call the hotel, maybe. But I remember Greg Miller was my roommate, who went on to be a coach at Pratt Junior College and a long-time scout with the Royals, still with them, national guy. I remember us just sitting in the room, just kind of numb, and just like, dude, can you believe what we just did? Well, then, after I doubt if I took a nap. I'm a nap guy, but I doubt if I could that day because I'm too wound up. We go down and have a get-together, or whatever you want to call it, that night at the Marriott in West Omaha, and priceless memories. And then we come back on the bus the next day to X Stadium, Tyler Field, packed. I'll never forget this. We bring the bus back. We go over the hill there at 21st, and right when we come over the hill, we see a packed X Stadium for our welcome back, and the bus erupted. I wish it was today so I could tape it.
Yeah.
Because we'd play that a million times.
That's awesome.
But the place went crazy. We had a welcome back. We had the Highway Patrol escort from Topeka to here, and just great memories. And I always joke with people, it's like I didn't want the 1990 season to start because we're the defending national champions. How are you gonna what's your encore gonna be on that?
Yeah.
So my joke was I couldn't buy a beer that whole summer. So you walk in places and people would cheer, and it was really cool. People really embraced it, and memories that had a parade through downtown Wichita. Went to the White House. George Bush Sr. was the president. I still have the pictures of him and Wedge playing catch in the Rose Garden.
Wow.
So great,
awesome.
incredible memories.
I can't even imagine. I remember our 2009 when I played. Our 2009 we went to MVC tournament, and just for that little tournament, the night out there, I went to Larry Bud's, and then everyone erupted.
That was Tanner's. That was Tanner's back in the day.
Was it? Okay.
But yeah. And the thing is, we'd struggled in 07 and 08. We went to super regionals. We're really close to Omaha. So it was kind of a rebuilding year. And I thank God for you. You were like the bullpen guy that was a go-to guy.
Yeah.
Sucks you got hurt because you were like the gamer. But yeah, for us to come back and win that, because the only way we were going to get in the NCAA tournament was to win.
We had to win. We had to win out.
We had to win the tournament, the Valley tournament.
Yeah.
And we did. But yeah, it was great memories, and then they sent us down to Norman. We're 2-0, but two real well-played games.
Yeah.
And
still well.
Yes.
I remember, I don't have any. I still feel like there was a sense of, glory being right next to Brian Flynn, now MLB player, and it was the choice for Gene was between me and him for who's going in, and I thought that was when I look back on it, in the time I was like, dang, I wanted to be in there.
Right.
I want to go in there. I think it was the fifth inning or so.
Yes.
It was mid innings. I want to, in the regional against OU.
OU, Tim Kelly started.
Yeah.
And we went to Flynn, sixth inning maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but you guys we were able to put him in the pen, and he goes on to pitch in the big leagues, 6'8" left-hander, 90, 95.
Yeah.
The thing that turned him around is he picked up a slider during his last year here that was kind of a go-to.
You kept working with him on that. I remember every day he'd come over, try to figure out a new way to throw it off-speed pitch.
Yes, because he had the great curveball, but it was kind of hit and miss, throwing it for a strike. Well, that slider gave him confidence, and I remember he came in. I think we lost 5-4, 4-3. It was a pretty well
It was
played
close.
game.
Yeah.
But yeah, you were the guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you had that little slider wipeout pitch nobody could hit.
That was the pitch, man. I wasn't about to throw him an 85-mile-an-hour fastball. I mean, I think exactly in college to get it by, but yeah. Well, the last interview I did with Johnny Coy. And
My guy.
Johnny Coy.
Love Johnny Coy.
Johnny's a great guy. Ex-baseball, basketball, Wichita State. So I said, hey, do you have any questions you want to ask Brent? Like, or any stories? He goes, man, where to start?
That can go on the air.
Yeah, exactly. He goes, man. Oh, he goes, ask him about Randy Johnson. He goes, I want to hear that story again. So you have the story about something funny in the Alaskan League with coaching Randy Johnson.
Yes. Everybody says, okay, who's the best guy you ever coached? You know, I've had, I think now 17 big leaguers at Wichita State.
Mm-hmm.
Had 10 more in Alaska, 84, 85, 86, and 87. So I think I've coached 27 big leaguers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when they say who's the best, you got to go Randy Johnson. I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, won numerous Cy Young awards. Well, I had him in 84. My story is always the same. I say I had Randy Johnson before he was Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
He was going to be a junior at Southern Cal. Ended up being a first rounder. He was 6'10", left-hander, threw probably 93, 94, 95, which is a pretty good tool, but he couldn't throw off speed for a strike, couldn't throw a breaking ball for a strike, didn't know how to field his position, couldn't hold runners, which you all picked up eventually. You don't become the guy that he became in the big leagues. But when I had him, he was just a raw talent and a little bit out there.
Oh, I found that out later. He would go and take pictures of Rush, the band, and like he would bring a camera, fly from a plane.
Oh.
He was a unique character.
Yes,
you can tell that.
I absolutely loved him.
Yeah.
But he's as flaky as you can get. I called him Giraffe.
Yeah.
A lot of guys called him, I think, Norman Bates. But and Big Unit was his name later.
Yeah.
But I always called him Giraffe. Mm-hmm. But he was so much fun. But he was like just as flaky as you can get. Mm-hmm. But here's the deal. Mm-hmm. Typical Southern California guy. If the weather wasn't just right, he'd tell you couldn't get loose. Mm-hmm. And in Alaska, a nice night's 75 to 80, and you're lucky to get those. But there's a lot of days up there. It's rainy, cold, drizzly, 40s, 50s. Well, if he was supposed to throw one of those days, he'd just tell you couldn't get loose. Well, we're getting ready to play in Anchorage against Kenai, and it's one of those cold, rainy nights, and I'm like, oh, here we go. I know he's going to tell me he can't get loose. Well, the night before, we had played and had to go to the bullpen early, so my bullpen's tired, okay? Well, sure enough, Randy's down there getting loose, and he's starting to pull his routine. He's starting to do his deal where his arm, and he's getting ready to tell me he can't go. Mm-hmm. Well, I look at Mark Gardner, who's standing down there with me, and Mark Gardner was a Fresno State guy who had thrown like 3 innings the night before, and Mark was going to be a senior at Fresno State, ended up pitching in the big leagues, was the bullpen coach for the San Francisco Giants for years. So, and the greatest human being on this planet, funny, gamer, the whole deal. We look at each other, and we're both doing one of these. Well, out of nowhere, Mark Gardner says, hey, Giraffe. He goes, I hate to tell you this. He said, but I'm friends with a lot of those Kenai guys. And I was talking to him during batting practice. I'm looking at him like, okay, where's he going with this? He goes, yeah. He goes, they can't wait to face you. When they found out you were throwing, they were jacked. They were like pumped. Well, Randy Johnson's like all of a sudden like, what? Who said what? And he goes, dude, I didn't want to tell you, but it irritated me. And he said, the 3-hole, he's a buddy of mine. He couldn't wait to face you, but he didn't think you'd last that long. Well, it's just 100% made up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm looking at Gardner. Well, all of a sudden, Randy Johnson's all of a sudden starting to let loose, and I'm going, no way is this going to work. Because Gardner had said to me, he said, look, if he can't go, I'll go. And I'm going, no, I'm not going to do that to you. You threw 3 innings last night. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, all of a sudden now, the last thing he's thinking about is that he can't get loose. So we're home team in Anchorage. We go out there, first inning. First guy comes up. And I swear Randy Johnson was telling him the pitches were coming. Mm-hmm. It's like 3 fastballs. I guarantee they were probably 100. It's like bam, 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 and it just punches him out. And I'm like, oh my God, this is insane. I look at Gardner. 2-hole comes up. Same thing. 3 pitches. Bam, bam, bam. And I'm like, this is the best thing I've ever seen. 2 outs. 3-hole comes up. First pitch, Randy Johnson pops him in the neck. looking at Gardner. It's like, oh no.
That's on you, buddy.
Yeah, because Randy Johnson thought that guy was talking trash, and that guy had no idea what was going on. So, fortunately, he was fine.
Oh my
He
gosh.
hobbles down to first base, and the whole way down there, Randy Johnson's talking trash to him. And I'm like over in the dugout with my hands on. I mean, it's a funny story because nobody got hurt.
Yeah, luckily.
And he went on to throw like a 2-hit shutout. So it worked. But yeah, so I see Randy Johnson like 15 years later. It was 1998, so to do the math here, but 14 years later in San Francisco. I'm in Chicago seeing Jim Hendry. He's the GM for the Cubs, or soon to be going to be GM for the Cubs. And Gardner was with San Francisco, so they were actually at Wrigley. And I go up to Gardner, I go, all right, because he's still like a bullpen guy for him. And we always stayed in touch, and he was such a good guy. So
You tell him?
about a minute in, I said, all right, dude, do you remember the Randy Johnson story? He started laughing. He said, do I remember the Randy Johnson story? He said, I tell that story all the time. And he said, have you ever told Randy? He goes, no chance.
Yeah.
So to this day, I don't think Randy Johnson knows. And it's been written in a couple books, so I don't know if he's seen it.
Wow.
When I did a
That'd be
little
so
recap of Alaska, I read a book.
Mm-hmm.
That story's in there. But yeah, that's the Randy
so
Johnson
funny.
story. How good is that?
That's so good, man.
Oh my God.
That's even better because I remember hearing this story to a degree. I think I caught the end of it.
Oh, I told that at so many coaching. I'll speak at coaching conventions. I've said that story so many times.
What's that? So this is a picture of Randy Johnson over here, isn't it? What's that? What's going on in
It's
that
actually, he
picture?
won an award in Guthrie, Oklahoma, probably 15 years ago, where he won some award.
In Guthrie.
Yes.
Oh wow.
And he's with my brother and my mom.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not with me, but it's pretty cool that they took the picture and sent it to me.
Is your brother in that picture?
Yes.
Which one? Which
It's
side?
my mom and my brother.
I see two guys.
Yeah, Randy Johnson's in the middle.
Okay.
And then my mom and my brother.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, before we go,
All right, what do you got for me, Randy?
I got something up my sleeve here. Actually, before we even get to that, so one thing I noticed coming to Wichita State was the personality that you wanted to implement and get the players on, which was have a confidence about you, walk around with air, with flow is what you said
Yes.
in our flow meetings.
Yes.
And I just know confidence was a huge thing for you. Now, have you ever seen the movie Summer Catch?
Absolutely, yes.
There's a point to this. So the pitcher in Summer Catch, not the main guy, which was Freddie Prinze Jr., but this asshole, confident asshole
Yes.
star is a right-hander who's got like a flame glove or something on, signed for $2 million.
Yes.
And the Cape Cod League is just a stud.
Yes.
And he's the biggest asshole ever. What would you say? Did Hollywood get it right when they show this movie and show this Wichita State guy pitcher as this asshole guy who just is not scared of shit and just a prick to some of the guys? Is that right?
I remember that coming out, and some
Yeah.
people were offended.
Yeah.
That, well, no way they're having this guy as a Wichita State guy.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? That's awesome. I love it. Of all the schools they could have picked, they picked
Yeah.
Wichita State.
Yeah.
And yes, he was a little bit unbearable, but he did have, and I didn't, if you remember this, and I know you do, I didn't want the ass. I wanted a guy that exuded confidence. He thought he was better than he probably was. He walked, I actually had guys, walk into our flow meetings and say, okay, walk in here and I want you to get it right. I don't want you to be over the top, which that guy was. I don't want you to be meek, but I want you to come in and exude confidence. And I was big on that. I used to tell you guys, and if you remember this story, I'd say, all right, say it's December 15th and you're driving through a neighborhood and somebody's having a Christmas party and you have no idea whose house it is. You should be able to walk in that house. It's kind of like Wedding Crashers. You should be able to walk in that house and just have enough air, enough confidence, enough presence where everybody's like afraid to ask you who you are. Walk in and go, sorry I'm late, got tied up, walk in, to the fridge, grab a beer, make a sandwich, and then, hey, dude, how you doing, man? You look good. And then walk out and go, got to take off, and nobody questioned you because you have that much presence. Well, I was huge on that.
I think that's something that the pitchers definitely downloaded, myself included, because when I went there as this kind of more humble, skittish, fresh,
you got to believe it.
As I saw that, you become part of it. But also when you just spend time with these guys who have just been winning like it's their job.
Well, there was a culture. The best disciple of, or the best teacher of what I believed in, and the program believed in, and started with Gene, was the confidence thing, and the older guys would teach it. By the time I got you guys, you'd used to get 2 or 3 junior or senior lads before we'd start, and the seniors and juniors had you guys molded by the time I got out there.
Yeah.
It's like, here's how we do third to first, here's how we cover first, here's how you act on the mound, and it became easy because there was a culture.
Yeah.
But I was huge on the brain, because that's the difference maker. We got talented guys. I love saying, hey, I coached 17 big leaguers, 9 first-round drafts. I don't want to act like we didn't have talent. We had talent. But I also took pride in getting Remington Johnson to think that he was Darren Driver. It's that brain. That's everything. And that was the difference maker for us.
I definitely saw that, and it was working. It's paying off. That brain. How many lists of little tidbits were? There was a message for each day. For each.
Well, it started out. If you look at it, it's fall of 1988, and it started out. I had a little hit list of things I wanted to go over. It was things that
This is a notepad.
Yeah.
Was it the same sheet? Was it on the same sheet that entire time?
Yes. So I just started adding things, and when I was done with that meeting, I was like, well, I'm not doing it this way. I'm going to have to I'll go over the same thing in the spring or the fall. So I just started adding to it. Well, now, if you look at it today, I actually had it laminated, so it wouldn't.
That's awesome.
It was probably 450 things.
I saw how that thing had been used up by the time. It just
and
curled up.
A lot of people came to me and said, hey, we need to write a book, or let's write a book, or could you get that typed up? I go, no! We lose the effect. This brain is symbolism.
Yeah.
It's who I am. It's things don't change. The core stays the same. So that was why I never gave in and had it typed or whatever.
That's so awesome.
Yes.
All right. So this little curveball I'm going to throw you here. I'm gonna list off some players between 2008 2010. These are the ones that I really
your guys.
I
yes,
enjoyed.
okay.
I really enjoyed these guys. What's the first thing you think about for each one of these guys? You have like a memory bank.
Yes.
As deep as an ocean. So first, Andy Dirks.
Ultimate gamer, Little League mentality, Burton, Kansas, Haven High School. My boy, went and saw him playing the big leagues. Just energy, positive energy. Just get on the bus and go, let's go, it's Sunday, we got a sweep today. And truth be known, he probably had a big time hangover. But just energy, Little League mentality, love the game.
Yeah, I noticed he had so much energy. He really, I'm sure that those major league teams enjoyed his presence because he could just sweep through a room.
It's too bad that he had the back injury because he'd have been a long-time big leaguer. And David Chad's a good friend of mine. We're in the 08 Super Regional, Florida State. And the first day of the draft, they went 5 rounds, and he called me and he goes, all right, Dirks didn't go. Where should I take him? I go, I don't know, where would you take Lenny Dykstra? Well, today's people don't know who Lenny Dykstra is. He was a long-time New York Mets star, and he got into some trouble. But he was just a Nails. His nickname was Nails.
Yeah.
I go, where would you take Dykstra? In other words, take him. And they did, I think, maybe not in the 6th, but the 7th. And he, quick path to the big leagues, and unfortunately got hurt. But yeah, just Little League mentality, love the game.
Good dude. Next one, Rob Musgrave.
Muskrat. Rob Musgrave, man, he was a Topeka high school guy. He may have said 10 words his whole 4 years here.
That's probably true.
I mean, he didn't say anything ever. And I remember when we were recruiting him, he's kind of under the radar. There were 3 or 4 schools on him. But he comes in for his visit, and I know that he's going to visit somewhere else. It wasn't one of your normal ones. It was like New Mexico or New Mexico State. And I call him. Well, those were painful calls because you did all the talking. He was a 4.0 student. I mean, he was great intellect.
Yeah.
Well, I remember him saying to me, I've decided where I'm going to school. I go, "Hi, Rob." I didn't call him Muskrat at the same time. I said, "Oh, great, Rob. Where?" "Wichita State." I said, "That's awesome. Good." He said, "Thanks."
But man, I think why everyone appreciated him is just the stuff that Rob could do on the mound, and he just
great feel.
He never
great
missed. He
changeup.
never missed a day. He never missed a day spotting every corner.
Everybody had to love him.
Great
just
changeup.
Mentally tough.
And just a good dude. And just a great dude.
Yes.
Just a nice
sure.
guy off the field.
All-American on that 08 team.
I remember a story where it was 2008, and we're out in Super Regionals for playing against Florida State, and Buster Posey's up.
Right.
Well, Rob gives him the classic Rob change-up, and that thing drops off the plate. Buster throws his bat out there, hits a bomb over the scoreboard.
That was the second AB. The first AB, Muskrat got him.
Yeah.
Second AB, you're right.
So Gene, I guess, comes back and, after hearing all the stories and everything, Gene goes, I just couldn't believe one of the things Buster said. He goes, after all was said and done, I said, "Hey, man, that's amazing that you were able to hit that pitch." And Buster Posey says, "That's one of the best pitches I've seen all year. And it's by one of the best pitchers I've seen all year.
Right.
That guy is amazing. He's amazing what he does." And he's like, "How can you say that you hit a bomb over a scoreboard?"
Yeah, I remember.
Because I was fooled. I was fooled.
He was, and he stayed back and got the bat hit on it.
Yeah. Okay, next one, Anthony Capra.
Anthony Capra, Colorado kid, left-handed pitcher. We saw him in the fall. He came in with a prospect team. My deal on Capra, and I love Capra. Once again, an All-American on that 08 team. I swore Capra that when he came in on his visit, he was on his phone the whole time, I guess with his girlfriend. I thought we may get him, maybe, but I also thought, okay, he's not going to last.
Yeah.
Well, he's still in Wichita.
Yeah, he is.
He absolutely, he pitched for the Wingnuts, was pitching coach. He's a regular on the radio.
Now he's like a medical device rep.
Yes.
He does what I do on the side.
Anthony Capra.
Yeah.
Great fastball command, especially in. And
he can pump it.
yes, and a gamer. But yeah, Anthony Capra, another left-hander on that team. He actually in the 08 Super Regional game, he came in to get the last out. And we usually didn't do that, but he punched out, I think it was Posey's brother.
Yeah.
And then came back and unfortunately lost the Sunday game at Florida State.
That was a hot series. That Sanford or the Super Regional with Florida State.
Well, I was going to say, it was like 100 plus, but the humidity was insane.
People were dropping.
Yes.
Which brings me to the next one, because I think the next one got affected by that. Ryan Jones. What's the thoughts on Ryan?
Ryan Jones. What's up, Ryan Jones? Bishop Carroll kid. He was a sophomore, I believe, on that team. Right fielder, just solid all the way around. Still talk to him regularly. Talked to him last week. He runs 316 Elite. I think he hit 2-hole on that team, maybe. But Ryan Jones, I think he was a guy that, Brent Kemnitz humor, I'm sick and warped and all that. He would always just get a chuckle out of that. And a guy that stayed in Wichita. Went on and played pro ball several years. Yeah. Just solid, good guy, good player.
Yeah. Dusty Coleman.
Actually,
that was his roommate.
Yes, Dustin Coleman. He was a freshman on that same team. We got a lead on Coleman that he was playing in some tournament in Topeka. And Jimmy Thomas had gotten the tip, so he goes up there and likes him. Well, we get him to come back to our prospect camp, Coleman. And the big guy then was Pete Cosma. He came to the same camp, and we signed him. Well, he ends up being a first-round draft signs with the Cardinals. But anyway, Dustin Coleman comes in, we get him, but he's just an athlete. I mean, he's not that polished guy. He's a South Dakota guy that came in here, played as a freshman, was 08. Once again, this is on the Super Regional team. Well, but he's sophomore eligible by 1 day.
Yeah.
So he was going to go with the USA team, decided not to because he wanted to go to the Cape because he was going to get more ABs.
Yeah. They were going to watch him and pick him up. Yeah.
We've kicked ourselves. We should have said, no, go play with the USA team. Because he went to the Cape, went off. And if you go off in the Cape, all the right guys are seeing you.
Yeah.
So he signs like in late July because he's sophomore eligible. And he should have.
Yeah.
He got a good deal.
It was the right thing.
Spent some time in the big leagues with the Royals. I actually went up and saw him, last year. And same guy. Just so real, so down to earth, great athlete.
Good Christian too.
Yes, for sure.
Tim Kelly.
Snowman, Tim Kelly. We had signed a pitcher out of Colorado, Evan Nunson, and he was our big recruit out of Colorado. And it's getting late. And we didn't oversign. We didn't just sign more than we thought we needed, which some years we probably should have. But Evan Nunson kind of blindsides us and signs pro. So we need a guy late. Well, Charlie O'Brien, that's his nephew. He had called me, and Charlie called you about a guy. He didn't want to be embarrassed. He wanted to be right.
Yeah.
So he said, I got my guy. He goes, it's my nephew, Tim Kelly. He said he's more of a basketball player, but he's got makeup, and he's 6'6", and I think he's moldable. Well, I go see him, and he's probably 85, 86, kind of a short arm deal, but the makeup's there, and there's a lot of intangibles that we like. So we take him. I swear, I thought about this later. Not that first year, but the next 3 falls, I had all the pitchers rate the other guys. He was like #1 ranked like 3 or 4 years in a row by the staff. And
that might was because everyone loved him.
Well,
but he was a great pitcher.
He was a great pitcher too. But 3 pitches for a strike, gamer, low maintenance, and everybody says, "Where'd Snowman come from?" Well, when I called him, his message was, "Hello, this is the Snowman. Leave a message." And I'm like, "What's that mean?" and Charlie always says, I always used to tell him when he was little, you can't snow the snowman, or whatever.
It's some phrase.
Yeah, but anyway, you know how I am. If something sticks in my head.
Oh yeah.
So he was.
It's stuck with me. I still don't even know where. Like I had no idea where it came from.
A lot of guys with me, it's like I know their nickname, and I do know their name, but I have to stop for a second.
Yeah.
So
I always think of him as being a tall snowman. He's a tall, skinny guy. Tyler Fleming.
Flemco Mudd played with his dad. One of the toughest, hard-nosed. His dad was a senior when I was a freshman at Phillips University. Just a hard-nosed, tough guy. And his son, I started getting the heads up because I'm tied with a lot of Enid guys. Bill Mayberry's my main contact down there, was the Legion coach. And they start talking about, hey, Fleming's son's going to be a guy. Well, anyway, he goes to Cali out of high school, and we get him, and he was. It's too bad he got hurt. Even when he was hurt in 08 in the regional down in Stillwater, we were going to him over a lot of other guys because he had makeup. He was kind of a sidearm flipper, but we're like, you know what? We'll go to him because he's not intimidated by anybody. But before he got hurt, he's right around 90, sinker, slider, makeup, the whole deal. But yeah, we still stay in touch. Flemco Mudd, man. Love him.
Nice. All right, next on this list, Kyle Malone.
Kyle Malone. Moses Malone. We were prep All-Americans in 1974 together. Moses.
You went well with that.
Yes.
Kyle was a good friend of mine. Never played baseball at Wichita State, but he so wishes he could. He followed us. Yeah. He kept the guys.
From now on, his nickname should be Moses, because Moses Malone.
All right.
I have this book here because in 1974, Moses Malone was a high school All-American.
Yeah.
Like really? Yeah. Well, I'm like one of the 3,000 other ones listed in here, so I show that to the basketball guys. Look
at that.
Me and Moses Malone.
Yeah, look at that, hanging out. Kobe Guy.
Nastiest breaking ball I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You cannot hit that pitch.
I think he broke the rev fire.
Well, rev fire. I'm the guy that gives everybody a hard time about technology.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was
trying to be too nerdy.
I was ahead of everybody else.
Yeah.
This rev fire guy comes in. He says, "Hey, I have this device I want you to look at, and if you don't mind, you can put your name on it, and I'll give you the device." And he gave it to me. I still have it in my garage.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So what it shows is
the revolutions of the ball by the time it gets to home plate.
Well, Kobe Guy broke the record by far.
Yeah.
Great dude. Midwest City Legion. It was a JUCO in Arkansas. I'm drawing a blank. Doty was his coach. He gave me a heads up.
Fort Smith.
Yeah. And Sean Doty. But just breaking ball that was just unhittable.
Yeah. He struck out so many in JUCO. We always compare. We go back and forth. We have this group text. It's me, Johnny, Kobe, and Travis Bennett.
Right.
And we go back and forth on baseball stuff every time. We go back through old stats and just throw that at each other as darts. It's hilarious how we do that.
That's good.
Which brings us to the next guy, Travis Bennett.
Travis Bennett, man. Northern Iowa drops their program. And Travis Bennett was a junior on that team, and he was like all league, good player, toughest out in the lineup. They dropped the program, and we're friends with Rick Heller. Well, there's a lot of things in there, but we get him. And it's like, okay, we just added a senior all-league guy, Travis Bennett, and I respected the fact that he wanted to come be a part of Wichita State. Well, I don't know if he will admit to this. That first fall, he was terrible defensively in left field. And it's like, okay, he can hit, but we didn't recruit him to DH. Well, for whatever reason, I don't know if he just didn't know if it was important, didn't know if we thought it was important. Well, we come out for workouts early in the spring, and he's great. He's good. It's like, Bennett has no defensive problems. I'm sure we even called Rick Heller, and he was like, no, he's a good defensive player. So anyway, to get to the point, solid dude, good outfielder. Hated we only had him 1 year. Yeah. Does summer baseball in Iowa. We've still had dialogue.
Yeah. He came back recently. You got to see it.
Yes.
You know what happened after he came back?
He wrecked his car.
Dude, he didn't wreck it. Someone stole his car, and the thief tries to use his car.
Okay, Johnny Coy.
Oh my god.
Johnny Coy gave me this whole breakdown.
Holy crap! It was
so,
wild.
As you know, I'm now on Twitter, and I have all these little deals that you can get. So I waited a few days, and then I sent one to Bennett where it's like this guy running into about 30 cars. And I go. He goes, I said, man, it was great seeing you. How was your trip to Wichita? And then I said that. And then
I felt so bad. He's about to leave. He's like, thanks, man. It's been a great time.
Yes.
I haven't been back in 10 years. He hadn't been back in 9 or 10 years. He's like, I had such a great time. Yeah. Thank you so much. He leaves Kyle Malone's house, and where's my car?
Oh my God, that just had to be the worst feeling. But yeah, I waited a few days, and then you know me, I toyed with him. And Bennett being Bennett, he got a kick out of it.
Oh man, it's hilarious. His buddies in Iowa, I guess, have been sending him stuff like out of all the cars to steal, they show his. It's like some monsters.
Right.
All right, I got 3 more on the list, and we're good. And you're out of the hot seat.
Yay.
Preston Springer.
Springsteen played for the El Dorado Broncos. I think he hit 3-hole, and you know, we were tight with all the summer guys around here, and I remember the coach, I forget who it was at the time, but J.D. Snyder was a longtime GM, said, hey, we got a guy that's getting really hit. Well, he hit 3-hole for him, played some first base, some outfield, but he was more of a DH. Really good hitter, and I think we only had him a year. I remember showing him around, driving him through downtown Wichita, and he wanted to be a part of it, but Preston Springer, man, left-handed hitter with some juice, and once again, one of those guys you wish you would have had the whole time. Just a solid hitter.
Yeah, he goes to war. His personality is, I'm going to war. I'm fighting.
Yeah, he fit the makeup for sure.
He's got it. Last 2.
Okay.
Johnny Coy.
JFC. Johnny Coy. I mean, I'd stay in touch with him regularly now. He was a guy that came here as a two-way guy, was a superstar basketball. He was a highlight film in high school basketball. Went to Arizona State to play both. Wanted to get closer to home, to be closer to the family. We helped, us in basketball, Greg Marshall, worked together to get him. The way I remember it, the basketball stuff was going to be okay, but he took off in summer ball and loved it. I remember in 2009, I remember him just hanging out by the dugout when we had the big comeback, and I remember really liking him, and I could tell he was into it. Yeah. And then went out and had a great summer, was with us in the fall, and it was like, okay, this guy's going to be special in baseball. I mean, it's so hard to do both. Okay, well, he matriculated, and I think he would have been fine in basketball, but he went through the roof in baseball, and now back in his hometown hero, Johnny Coy, and coaching.
Yeah. And he just got married.
Yeah, I knew that, and he came down with you guys about a month ago. We text, tweet. He's like leads the world in retweeting my stuff, so I'm like, hey, JSC, I need you to retweet my deal. Great guy. It's really still in the game, because guys like that need to be in the game, because he has contagious positive energy.
Yeah, and he does a lot of good things in his own hometown.
Yes.
Like the programs that
Do they have any streets or anything named after him yet?
Well, they're probably going to.
They will.
After they clean up all the streets that they're doing, then they'll probably put. That's the last on the list of things.
Yes.
Final guy, Mitch Castor.
Heartbreaking story. I mean, a guy that was a Goddard High School, died in a car wreck, as you know, coming back in 2010. You're going to make me sad as I finish here. He sent me a text. He was heading back from, I think they were playing in the championship up in the Northwoods League. And he had really made a big jump that summer pitching-wise. So we were excited to, get him back. And he sent me a text, probably 8 o'clock, something like that, heading back.
That night?
I didn't know for sure when he said, hey, we got beat, I'll be heading back soon. I said, well, I remember in this text saying, okay, well, be careful. And then I wake up the next morning to a message from Grant Moncrief as to what had happened. Just heartbreaking. But Mitch was, to get on the positive side, he was a Goddard guy, so you knew him, growing up much better than I would have. But he was that guy that just full of energy, liked to laugh, fun, good guy, two-way guy, very gifted, very talented. I mean, I bet he threw, 95?
He hit 95, maybe 96, but 95.
And that summer he was doing that.
Yeah.
And had the potential to be a legit two-way guy, which is hard to do.
He just had to dial in his command. That was the only deal. But he was amazing.
Yeah, that was summer of 2010.
Amazing talent.
But sad story, but just what a great kid.
Yeah. This actually this weekend coming up is the 10-year anniversary of the whole thing.
Yeah, it was in August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I hate to be on the bad note, but in the end, it's a good memory as to someone that was just so special.
Well,
and so special for this program, for the city,
yes,
for anything he went. He had the Midas touch of cheer. And any picture that's taken of him, he's just got the biggest smile on this planet.
And that's the thing. I think I probably was an example of what most people, when you bring up Mitch Castor, obviously it breaks your heart, but then you end with a smile because you're like, oh, that dude just loved to have fun.
Yeah.
Yes, just loved by everybody.
He was. So special time. I hope that his family gets to see this and get to see the tribute, because it's always. There should always be something special for him.
Yes.
And when we brought it up with when I was with Johnny. Johnny still has that the shirt whenever they release the balloons on the field.
Yeah,
that was cool.
That was 10 years ago.
That was special.
Wow, that goes quick. Now, do I get to pub up my Coach Tube real quick?
Let's let the positive energy start bringing back up, and then But before we get there, what are you doing now? What's the main? What's your shtick here at Wichita
State? This is my job, Remy. I have guys like you that are alums that played here, but I do it with all sports. Now, COVID's made it tough for me because I haven't been able to go out and have drinks and beer and lunch and breakfast as much, but I had the best job ever. I promote. My job is my title, Assistant AD for Outreach and Staff Development.
Okay.
Does that fit me or what?
Yeah,
outreach.
You get to go out and see the people.
You energize. We just raised money to get X Stadium finished. Coke Arena. I had a little help. A little bit, not a ton. Alex Johnson is such a great boss, and then Darren Boatwright's the best.
Yeah.
But that was a pretty big factor in getting X Stadium done. So that was two things I was excited about. I traveled with basketball, so at home and away, I'm on every trip.
Well, I think people recognize you as a staple. Something that's going to want to keep having them come back to Wichita State in some facet.
I appreciate that, and it's expanded to all the sports. But I told Darren Boatwright 4 years ago when I moved over here, I said, here's what I can give you. At that time, I'd been here 38 years. Now it's starting 43. I said, when they want to talk about Antoine Carr, I lived it. Or X, lived it. Or they want to talk more recent, lived it. I can talk those stories with the best
and you
of
got
them.
them all in the memory bank.
They're all in the memory bank.
I listed off all those. I listed off 13 players, and you had something for everybody.
Immediately, something big pops into my head.
Yeah.
And it's fun for me. I said, now I can't talk Dave Stallworth. I know Dave Stallworth, but I didn't watch him play. But I can tell the old stories and have fun, and I love it.
You're vital.
This didn't work for me.
Dude, you're vital for this. This is your thing, man.
It's my second career, so to speak. I wouldn't trade the pitching years, the coaching years. It was great, but this is my second career and having a blast.
Yeah. I'll show the pictures of all of these. You got some awesome stuff in this.
Plenty of stuff.
Ooh, the rookie. I didn't even see that. Okay.
We got the rookie. We got me being me up there getting thrown out of games. We got my roast.
What's this roast about?
What
was that? Why? I don't know why I wasn't able to make it.
I truly got roasted.
That's so funny.
It was great stuff. And this is a little bit of everything. Behind me, I've got the national championship team, groundbreaking and ribbon cutting for Phase 5. Little Garth Brooks with me and Pelfrey.
Oh, wow.
Master's degree, Ribby. 1980, Wichita State. Got a little Olympic team in 92 with Gene, me, Wimmer, and Dreifert. Got a little George Brett with me and JT at one of our coaching first pitch promos.
That's the picture I saw there. I thought it was Randy Johnson for a second from over here.
Got a little Randy Johnson. Dreifert signing his contract with the Dodgers. A little Ron Baker. We got Greg Marshall and Lynn. Who else we got here? A sad one down here, Roy Halladay. He was in here 2 years ago with the Kansas Stars, and we almost signed him. In fact, in the picture, he said he always wished he had signed with Wichita State. He was the guy that came to our camps, and then tragically
a car wreck
in a plane crash. But yeah, all kinds of fun stuff. Here's my fun one right here, the Pump House.
Yeah.
They got Barry Sanders, they got Xavier McDaniel.
Oh, I
Baker,
see 24
a
up
little
there.
Kemnitz.
I see a 24 up there.
I get more distance out of that one than any of them. Anyway, fun memories, wouldn't trade it.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for having me. Before we end this, what's the thing we need to promote? We gotta.
In 2007, I made a CD called "Pitching the Mental Game." It's 20 bullet points. We talk about flow. It's 20 of my bullet points. Like get out of your comfort zone. Every day you're going to come better or worse. The timing on coaching people. How to deal with adversity, how to focus. I had 20 bullet points. Well, I now have that on digital. Everybody said, dude, get out of your 8-track mentality. It was actually a CD. But I said, let's go digital. So it's now on CoachTube.
Okay, CoachTube.
And then just Google Brent Kemnitz.
CoachTube.com.
Yep. And then Google Brent Kemnitz.
Google your name.
They better do it today and tomorrow.
They should. Hey, if you guys are watching this, if you enjoyed all the things that
you
Brent
can get on
has had to say,
CoachTube.
Get on CoachTube. Click on Brent Kemnitz. Show him some love.
Yes.
And you know what? It's going to be something I can say personally. The stuff that the information, the knowledge that you give people is just, it sticks with you forever. You take that, it's not one of those, I read a nice little motivational book today, I'm good, and you forgot what it was said a week ago. It sticks with you forever, and it's the best thing you could have.
Remy, I appreciate it. And that's who I try to be. I try to go over the top with my passion and everything, and sick warped stories.
Yeah,
just so
we're all sick warped
so
people.
So you guys don't forget the message, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, man, well thanks.
And thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff, Remy.
Thanks, Brent.
Thank you.
All right.
How long did we go?
We probably went for an hour and 20, I bet. Let's see. We went so far this one vlog though. But this one's still
Got a call from my jeweler, this just in. And women love me cause I'm messing with their best friends. Not a lesbian, but she a freak though. This ain't for one night, I'm shining all week, bro. I'm sipping Clico and rocking yellow diamonds. So many rocks up in my watch, I can't tell what the time is. Got a pocket full of big faces, throw it up cause everybody that I'm with, Taylor.